So this video is going to be today about Hinduism and spiritual warfare and a deep exploration of many concepts in one of the oldest religions in the world. Hinduism, being one of the world's earliest religions, provides a profound perspective on spiritual warfare through its ancient scriptures, its myths, and its philosophical doctrines. Unlike the Western concept of spiritual warfare, which often emphasizes the battle between good and evil as an external struggle, Hinduism presents a more intricate view where the cosmic battles mirror the internal struggles of the soul. The Devasura War, the narratives of the Puranas, the glorification of warfare during the Vedic period, as well as the martial ethos of the Mahābhārata and the dilemmas of Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, all illustrate Hinduism's nuanced take on conflict as an approach, both on the material level as well as the spiritual level. Let's go into the Devasura War, which is a cosmic struggle. One of the most significant and recurrent themes in Hindu mythology is the battle between the devas, celestial beings or gods, and the asuras, the powerful beings often portrayed as demons. This struggle is not merely a physical war, but represents the eternal conflict between light and darkness, righteousness, dharma, and unrighteousness, which is adharma. The Devasura War occurs in multiple cycles, often tied to cosmic ages such as the Yugas, and the devas, who are led by deities like Indra, Vishnu, and Shiva, seek to uphold cosmic order, which is Rita, while the asuras, despite being powerful and at times righteous themselves, are often driven by ego, ambition, and desires that disrupt balance. One of the most famous battles is the churning of the ocean, the Samudra Manthan, where the devas and the asuras work together to extract Amrita, which is the nectar of immortality. However, deceit and divine intervention ultimately deny the asuras their share, leading to further enmity. This cosmic war serves as a metaphor for the inner struggles within human beings. The devas symbolize virtues like self-discipline, wisdom, and faith, while the asuras represent the base instincts of desire, arrogance, and greed. Thus, the battle is not just external, but also internal, urging individuals to conquer their lower nature to obtain higher spiritual enlightenment. Let's go into the Puranas, its warfare, and the afterlife consequences. The Puranas are a vast body of Hindu texts composed between 300 BCE and 1500 CE, which expand on the theme of warfare and its consequences in the afterlife. These texts often depict battles among the celestial beings and the karmic repercussions of engaging in such a war. For example, the Vishnu Purana and the Bhagavad Purana also describe how heroes who die fighting in righteous wars ascend to the divine realms, while those who engage in war for selfish motives face dire consequences in the next life. The Garuda Purana, which details the afterlife journey of the soul, discusses how warriors who uphold dharma are rewarded with access to Swarga, which is heaven, whereas those who kill unjustly are tormented in Naraka, which is hell. These narratives reinforce the idea that war is not inherently evil, but must be waged with righteousness and selflessness. The Puranic worldview supports the idea that duty-bound warriors, the Kshatriyas, will fight without attachment to personal gain, ensuring that their actions align with divine law rather than their own personal ambitions. Let's go into the Vedic period and the glorification of warfare that occurred during this time. The Vedic period, which is from 1500 to 500 BCE, laid the foundation for Hindu spiritual and martial philosophy. The Rig Veda, the oldest of the Vedas, glorifies celestial battles, divine weapons, and incantations used in combat. Many hymns invoke gods like Indra, Agni, and Varuna to aid warriors in battle, emphasizing the divine sanction of these righteous wars. Indra, the king of the gods, is particularly celebrated as a war deity. He is described as a demon slayer who wields the thunderbolt Vajra to vanquish Vrita, a primordial dragon that obstructs cosmic order. The hymns dedicated to Indra often serve as incantations to inspire warriors before battle, reinforcing their conviction that divine forces guide their actions. Additionally, weapons in the Vedic period were not merely physical tools, but were considered sacred entities with divine attributes. The concept of astra, which is the celestial weapons, and the shastra, which are the physical weapons, became integral to Hindu warfare, with certain divine weapons being capable of mass destruction, like the modern nuclear arms. For instance, the Brahmastra, a powerful missile granted by Brahma, could annihilate entire armies, demonstrating the intersection of spirituality as well as martial prowess. Vedic texts also emphasize the use of incantations, the mantras, in war. These mantras are believed to invoke divine assistance, strengthen warriors, and weaken enemies. This fusion of spirituality and martial strategy highlights the belief that war is not merely a physical endeavor, but one that involves divine energies as well as cosmic will. So let's go into the Mahābhārata, the enshrinement of the martial ethos. The Mahābhārata, one of the greatest epics of Hindu literature, serves as the ultimate treatise on dharma and warfare. It portrays the struggle between the Pandavas and the Kauravas over the kingdom of Hastinapura, ultimately leading to the Kurukshetra War. Unlike the narratives that focused on divine beings, the Mahābhārata humanizes the struggle of warriors bound by duty, morality, and personal relationships. The text enshrines the martial ethos of the Vedic period, demonstrating that war, when fought for righteousness, is a legitimate path to uphold dharma. The battle is not just a physical confrontation, but a spiritual test for all involved. Bhishma, Karna, and Drona, renowned warriors on both sides, each face their own personal moral dilemmas. The destruction caused by the war highlights the inevitable suffering associated with the conflict, reinforcing the idea that even the righteous wars have absolutely devastating consequences. This is best exemplified by the plight of the Pandavas, who, despite emerging victorious, experienced profound grief and disillusionment over the loss of their loved ones. Let's go in particular into the story of Arjuna and his struggle as a spiritual warrior. One of the most pivotal moments in the Mahābhārata occurs when Arjuna, the greatest warrior among the Pandavas, faces a moral crisis on the battlefield. Overcome with despair at the thought of killing his own family and kin, his own teachers, and his friends, he refuses to fight. It is at this moment that Krishna, the charioteer and divine guide, delivers the Bhagavad Gita, one of the most profound spiritual discourses in Hindu philosophy. Krishna persuades Arjuna to fulfill his duty as a Kshatriya, a warrior, by reminding him that the soul is eternal and that physical death is insignificant in the grand scheme of existence. He explains the concept of nishkama karma, selfless action performed without attachment to the fruits of one's labor. Arjuna is urged to fight not out of hatred or vengeance, but as an instrument of divine will. This episode exemplifies the Hindu perspective on spiritual warfare. The real battle is not merely external, but it is internal. Arjuna's struggle symbolizes the conflict between duty and emotion, self-doubt and divine wisdom. His eventual realization that he must surrender to Krishna's will mirrors the essence of Hindu spirituality, the transcendence of ego and the alignment of one's actions with the cosmic order. In conclusion, Hinduism presents spiritual warfare as a very complex and multifaceted concept that transcends mere physical battles. The Devasura War symbolizes the external and eternal struggle between good and evil, while the Puranas illustrate the consequences of combat. The Vedic period sanctifies martial prowess, and the Mahābhārata humanizes the ethical dilemma of warfare. Arjuna's crisis and Krishna's guidance encapsulate the ultimate lesson. True victory lies in overcoming one's own internal conflicts and aligning one's will with divine will. In essence, Hinduism teaches that spiritual warfare is not just about external battles, but about conquering the inner demons of doubt, ego, and ignorance. Whether through mythological wars or philosophical discourses, Hinduism offers a timeless framework for understanding conflict, duty, and the path to spiritual liberation. If you ask me, I think it's all about non-attachment. At the end of the day, if you can align yourself with the divine will and leave your ego at the door and not become attached to particular things, then you can eventually take up the path of the righteous, and you will be able to make your actions without being morally fraught with despair over having to do what is righteous.